Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, happy Friday. No, happy Saturday. So I got to talk about Bitcoin. You know, after a horrific week and year for the S&P 500, it finally, I think, entered bear market. But despite that, Bitcoin is still holding strong. So I'm going to talk about that and talk about some other altcoin news and talk about, of course, Kwon, who has finally spoken out and answered some questions. But do they make sense? And is going to help Terra? Well, let's discuss all of these things. Let's get started. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com and follow brand new CryptosRUs Clips channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You know what? It's not too bad. Not too bad at all. I know yesterday when I was streaming in the morning, Bitcoin was above 30,000, about 30,400. The U.S. markets were, I mean, all indexes were doing pretty good. And then it flipped down, right? Deep in the red, and then at closing, it kind of recovered a little bit. But regardless, you know, Bitcoin fell down to as low as like 28.8, then recovered to 29. Now we're coming back up to 29.5. But you could see that Bitcoin has just been going sideways. With all the drops and dips that we have been seeing with the U.S. market, you know, Bitcoin is just holding. Yeah, and there's actually a pretty good reason why we've been holding here, and I'm gonna get to that a little bit. But you could see we've been basically falling the same low, and then now most likely we'll probably recover back up to 30,500, 36,600. It's been sideways. It's been going sideways, and you know, I know that it's not very exciting. A lot of people losing hope. A lot of people keep anticipating that we'll have another doomsday drop, right? But I argue that this 25K, this was our doomsday drop, especially if you look at where we came from. You know, that was a pretty horrific drop from 40,000 down to 25,000, and that was within days. Okay? That's very similar to some of the previous doomsday drops we have seen before, and this could be an indicator that we are now just consolidating and finding our footing and getting ready to move up. It's the same as before. In 2021, 2020, when we had those doomsday drops, Bitcoin didn't just do a V-shaped recovery. It took months before it started gaining any traction, and we could be seeing the same thing right now. But there's a lot of talk about S&P 500 officially moving into the bear market, which is actually not true because during Friday, it did dip below, and then it came up. So actually, it's not in bear market yet, although people would argue we are. But you can see the year-to-date for S&P 500 is 18%, negative 18%, not negative 20. It was lower, but it recovered. So technically, we're not in the bear market for S&P 500, right? So, but bottom line is there's still a lot of fear. People are still waiting for something to happen before entering the market, and that's not the right way to do it. You just don't know. You don't know if it'll ever come. And some people have sat in the sidelines and has missed out on some of the most tremendous gains that we have ever seen. Just happened last year. Happened 2 years ago. Happens pretty much every single year. Every single year. Now, this is talking about S&P 500, how on during the years when we do have that kind of like bear market, how we enter bear market territory, that's usually the first half of the year. And then the second half of the year, that's when you see some tremendous recoveries. Okay? So this is looking at, it's a little complicated, but it's showing what happened in 2000, you know, dot-com bubble, 2008 housing bubble, right? You see some pretty good recoveries in the second half of this year. So are we going to see that this year? Well, maybe. So just to throw some history and hope out there. But yeah, if S&P 500 continues to go down and officially goes in the bear market, we could see a pretty good recovery the second half of this year. And of course, I've shown so many metrics about Bitcoin finding that bottom already and making a tremendous move to the upside, right? Kind of all correlates. The timing of it is all around right now, soon, wherever. But I'm still holding, and hopefully you guys are too, because there's a lot of goodness that's still not here, yet to come. All right. So what else is there? Of course, a lot of Americans are stressed over inflation. I mean, this is obvious. Everyone's talking about inflation nonstop, every day, right? So obviously this is a big deal. But Tim Draper, one of the most famous tech investors of our generation, is still bullish on Bitcoin because he believes it's a hedge against inflation. And a lot of people don't believe this because they're like, well, look at what's going on right now, right? Bitcoin's not holding very well. It's still going down along with everything, right? But that's because you're looking at a smaller time scale. If you look at a longer time scale, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, the USD has gone down anywhere from 75 to 99.9%, devalued itself that much versus sats. So this is why I do believe Tim Draper knows what he's talking about and why so many people feel like Bitcoin is the ultimate hedge against inflation. Because over the long haul, nothing has outperformed Bitcoin, not even close. And you could see the dollar devaluing right in front of your eyes, right? So that's pretty good. What else is there? Well, there's a couple other things. If you're looking at this is a Confluence floor model from Plan C. So I don't know what his algorithm is, but it looks very similar to the 200 weekly moving average. So because in the 200 weekly moving average, you would see that, yeah, the 2018 dip, 2020 dip, that's when you hit that 200 week moving average, right? And we're right there, pretty close. And you could see on the right-hand side, that's where we are, right? So again, another one of those models that show you that we are at bottom or very near bottom. And this is a great time to be accumulating. This also very interesting. First time I've seen this. This argues that 29,000, anywhere from 29 to 30,000 is important to hold because there's about 850,000 Bitcoins that bought at the average price right around now, 29,800, right? You know what? I'm just thinking Michael Saylor's average price is around here too, about 30,500, a little bit higher, but that could be the reason why we have such a strong base right now, hovering around 29,000. It could be due to this because there are a lot of holders holding strong at this point and even lower, right? You could see there's just a ton of holders out there and the holders continue to increase. They DCA, they continue to DCA, and there's more and more people that's coming into space. They're DCAing and holding, right? Bottom line, this is going to have a huge effect on Bitcoin in the future because you're just having more and more and more and more of the supply being taken away. Yeah. All right. I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing is this is showing from a TA perspective. There's a falling wedge after the top, and what happens after the top? And there's a falling wedge. Well, you could have a tremendous upside afterwards. So this is looking at previous tops from 2018, 2019, right? And we had two tops in 2021. So maybe. We'll see. All right. So that's pretty much what I'm talking about with Bitcoin. Overall, it's a scary market out there, but I've been telling you guys to stay strong. Bitcoin is staying strong. So overall, there's a lot of things to come. But right now, it's time to buckle down and focus on the future. It's scary day to day, but nothing's going to stop Bitcoin. Nothing's going to get in its way, right? So I want to start out with that. As for a couple of altcoin news, Cardano is still executing. A lot of people have given up on Cardano. It's fallen to like 50 something cents recently. But there's a new kind of accelerator incubator program called Genius X, and $105 million of the ADA has been pledged to it to get tokens rewarded for stakers. So it just shows you the strength of ADA holders, right? They're not giving up. Still 76%, 76% is staking their ADA. They are not selling. So bottom line is Cardano is going to survive anything basically because of how strong their holders are. But it's just an example of something new that's coming. Also, their metaverse project, Pavia, did kind of like a demo of what their metaverse will look like. Pretty cool. Not the most insane graphics, but a metaverse is coming to Cardano. Like so many others, all the other projects they're working on, right? There's a lot of hype about metaverses still. Will they recover? I do think so, and Pavia is the main one I know of on Cardano. Chainlink, a lot of people ask me about Chainlink, and I've always stressed how important it is, how important Chainlink is to basically all DeFi projects. But they are going to introduce staking. That's something I totally forgot about. That right now, you can't stake, at least not yet, but pretty soon you will be able to. And that will be a big thing, because I just got done talking about Cardano, how over 70% is staked, right? So if you can start staking, then that's going to be a tremendous thing for Chainlink, taking out of circulation, and then basically, the less tokens there are floating around, the better it is for its price. So that's also pretty darn good. And I'm still waiting for their bridge, their CCIP bridge, which has been hyped a lot about, but I haven't heard of anything yet with it. But I think that's also very, very exciting. All right. And then lastly, a lot of you guys are tuned in just to hear about Kwon and Terra. This is exciting. There's a Brazilian crypto exchange that's refunding Terra UST holders at $1 each. So this is the first time I've ever heard this. First time I heard of an exchange doing so. So the Nox Bitcoin exchange has refunded all UST holders at a $1 rate. The firm spent $127,000 to reimburse everyone. So obviously there's very small exchange. It only costed him $127,000 to reimburse all of his customers that had UST. But I think that's pretty commendable, right? I wish all the exchanges would do this, but obviously they're not, because they would be losing billions. But that is pretty positive. Also, before I get to the tweet, CZ did a big blog post, okay, talking about Luna and UST, and basically, he used the word stupid a couple of times. And CZ still maintains that just because you fork and you give out new tokens, it's stupid to think that will increase the value of it. Okay, so he's very adamant about that, saying, and he goes through all these things, right? But basically what he's saying is what Terra is trying to do is a big, big mistake. All right, so they were too greedy. They didn't try to save the peg early enough. They don't communicate nearly as well as they should. And the idea of forking a new chain and giving out new tokens and thinking that that's going to raise value on the new tokens or the old tokens is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. To sum up what CZ said, those are the things that he said. It sounds like he wants to give up on basically Terra. So and Binance, just to put things into perspective, Binance, their original $3 million investment into Terra netted them at peak $1.6 billion. And that $1.6 billion has now dropped to like $2,000 or something like that, right? So Binance has lost over $1 billion over this. So obviously CZ is not very happy, but he really hates the new plan. And if you look at this vote, you know what? There's a lot more no's and abstains coming aboard. So there is actually a chance that this doesn't go through. So for the last week or so, the yes count was above 80%. So you could see it has dropped to 62%. Abstain now at 21%. And no's, if you combine the two no's, about 17%, right? And you could see that the total voted is about 63%. So if you have a tremendous amount of no's coming out or abstains coming out, this could actually be halted. And this could force Doe to come up with a new proposal. Because on Friday, people are telling me, oh, this got amended. First of all, if it got amended, the vote should just stop and should be redone. You can't amend something where people already pledged yes and then you change the terms. That doesn't even make any sense, right? So what if it's about to be voted yes and then all of a sudden Do Kwon puts in here, oh, no one's going to get any tokens. Like, then, like, you can't just change the terms last minute and still expects the yeses to be yeses, right? So I thought that was pretty ridiculous. That didn't make a lot of sense. And more of these validators coming out. Like I saw Orion Money, which is the biggest validator that they have, close to 9% of voting power voted abstain. So a lot of these did not vote ones. They're starting to vote, and they're mostly voting abstain or no's. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if this gets denied, which it should be, because it's just a bad plan. So if it does, well, I don't know what the next proposal is. Maybe we'll talk about saving the existing one and not renaming it Terra Classic and implementing some burning. I don't know. Something better, right? So this is not over. There's 4 more days. 4 more days, and if this gets voted no, it'll be really, really, really interesting to see what happens to the next proposal. All right? But in the meantime, Do Kwon finally started to answer some questions. All right? A lot of people are outraged, keep talking about it on Twitter, right? A lot of people, this person's asking about, well, what happens to, the dexes like Osmosis, Sheaf Chain, Kava, Crescent, and all these other dexes that hold Luna and UST. So Do Kwon did answer that they will be IBC, inter-blockchain communication assets within the Cosmos system will be indexed. I'm assuming that they will be considered, right? They will be considered with the airdrop. That's what he's saying. So that answers some of it. People have also been asking about the tax situation, because there are a lot of reports saying that he owes $78 million to the authorities, which he clarified saying there is no outstanding tax liabilities in Korea, that he did pay what he needed to pay, and he's been in Singapore, so it's a coincidence that he was trying to shut down the company in Korea and open it in Singapore. It has nothing to do with the crash, even though it was 2 days prior to the crash. But he answered that there is no tax liabilities, right? We're going to have to take his word for that, because later on it turns out that there is. Well, then he's just caught in an absolute lie, okay? So he has gone on record saying we have no outstanding tax liabilities in Korea, okay? So we'll just take his word for that for now. There's 313 Bitcoins left out of the $3.5 billion. Everything else was spent. But he does still owe 313 Bitcoin. What is he going to do with that? Not sure what he's going to do. Someone asked about W Luna. What is going to happen with W Luna? A lot of people bought W Luna on Coinbase. And he responded, we have reached out to the Coinbase and have yet to hear back. So Coinbase already announced they're going to delist W Luna. Maybe they have already. So it seems like Coinbase does not want to touch this situation at all. So probably Coinbase is not going to be distributing new tokens if new tokens are given. And it makes sense because Coinbase doesn't support any other tokens besides ERC20 tokens and now Solana. So they can't distribute Terra tokens even if they wanted to, right? But that's what he answered. And that's it. I mean, he answered as much as he can. The big thing is, Can we trust that Terra really does not owe any taxes? I don't know. Maybe someone in South Korea within the tax agency can answer that. IBC assets seem like they will count, and W Luna, no idea what's going to happen, right? So that's the latest with Terra. But the good thing is that in 4 days, when this vote ends, we could actually come out where it's a no, and that'll breathe some life into, I think, the project if they come out with a better proposal. All right, that's pretty much it. Outside of that, Bitcoin is still, I don't need to refresh, Bitcoin is still holding strong at 29.5 right now, and entire market cap is kind of just hanging in the balance. All right, let's do some Q&A. People are asking about Phantom pumping. I have no idea why it's up 46%. I do know that Phantom has been oversold, been hammered, oversold for a long time. It could just be because there's a short squeeze. A whole bunch of people are trying to pump it. I don't even see it on the top 100. It's up 30%, not 46%. But anyways, even up 30% or 40%, it's still, last 3 months, last month, last 7 days it's up, but last month it's still way down from its $something mark, right? So it has been oversold by a lot for a long time. So it's good that it's up. I believe in Phantom. I told you guys. I think it's one that will survive despite Andre Crony leaving and the FUS, FUSD kind of wonky, going up and down all the time. What do you think about Filecoin? I don't really have any thoughts on Filecoin. Decentralized storage. They're trying to layer in another EVM layer on top of it. I don't know if that's gonna work out for them, but yeah, they're just decentralized storage. You can make some money by offering storage up to power the network. Oh, did Andre Cronin come back? Wow, it was such a big deal that he left. Is that why it's pumping? Oh, because he came back? I wonder why he left in the first place. I mean, it caused such FUD, so now someone answered it. The reason why it's pumping me because he announced he's coming back. I don't know why he left in the first place, though. Do I have Solana? Yeah, I do. How about block this Leonardo guy? What did he say? Where should we be keeping our Terra and UST at the moment in case something good happens? Catherine, I don't know. I mean, you could keep it on their Terra Station wallet. I would say, that's probably the best place to store it, the safest place. But a lot of exchanges like Binance and KuCoin still keep it. They're still allowing trading. So, if they support the new fork, if it gets voted upon, then I think that it'll be easy to get airdrops that way. Solana or Phantom? Solana definitely has more backers. Phantom is still a work in progress. But I think Phantom sold off more, so their potential to come back is probably higher. I think it's both. I think they both have promise. But Solana's ecosystem is at least, you know what? I can't even argue that because if you look at TVL, they're about the same. Let's see. Phantom's TVL is at 1.6 and Solana at 4.2. No, so I'm wrong. So yeah, Solana's ecosystem, at least in terms of TVL, is still much bigger. But at one point in time, Phantom was much higher. You can see the 1 month change, drastic drop, right? But once upon a time, they were pretty close. Man, Ethereum went up to 64%. They were like 52%, and that's because Terra was commanding almost 20% of the total TVL. And most of that went into Ethereum, and some of it went into others. But man, that 20% just disappeared like overnight. KCS is always strong, comes up after every dip. Yeah, but it's not. I like it. KuCoin is a fantastic exchange, and you could get like trading discount fees and dividends by holding on to it. Um, you know, I think it's just not. It's not very. There's not a whole lot of developments going on, even though they have their own chain. It's very very early. Not a whole lot of projects on there, but KCS is strong because KuCoin is strong. Just like BNB is strong because Binance is so strong. It's kind of the same relationship. If Luna's vote is no, would veto reaches 30%, the proposal rejected automatically. Yeah, but unfortunately, very little people are voting no with veto. They're just voting no or abstain right now. Gala, what, Gal? Gal or Gala? If crypto was in a video game, it would be Atari era. You know what? I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. The potential of crypto is so vast, we can't even imagine it right now. Just like when people were playing video games, like Pong in with Atari. To imagine where it is now, like 40 years ago or 50 years ago, it'd be impossible, right? So I agree with that. I want to stop paying attention to crypto and HODL, but I'm addicted to DCA now. Thanks a lot. That's a good addiction, as long as you do it reasonably. When crypto Nintendo, maybe after the next halving event, maybe in another 4 years. Many people had Luna deposit on Luna's NFT marketplace on their wallets in time snapshot, so don't know how that's gonna work out. I have no idea. There's still a lot of question marks. Very little have been answered. Today was the first time in a very long time that Doe actually spent some time to answer some of these questions, because for the most part he has been just MIA. So I don't know. What would you pick up right now, XRP or Cardano? I would pick up Cardano. Although I did talk about XRP on Friday, about how the SEC is looking very desperate, not handing over the previous director's emails about how Ethereum is not a security. It looks very, very desperate that they won't give up those emails, even though the court ruled they have to. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to Ripple winning that lawsuit. Air to the Ron, hey, I appreciate that, man. Hopefully I will meet you in the future at a new GeorgeCon, or the next GeorgeCon, or the first GeorgeCon. What do you think about Litecoin's new Mimblewimble update? It's the biggest of its kind so far, I think. Well, okay, sure. It might be the biggest upgrade in Litecoin's history, but didn't do a whole lot for its price. So if you're an investor and you're buying Bitcoin or Litecoin as an investment, right? What would you rather hold on to? Something that has more potential, has moved up beyond their previous high levels, the one that's being talked about and embraced by countries and worldwide. I mean, you go with Bitcoin. There's no reason to hold Litecoin if you're buying it as investment. Now you could argue, okay, I could buy Litecoin to send between exchanges or send to someone else. If I'm buying it as a utility because it's faster and now I can hide my transactions, sure, go ahead. But if you're buying as an investor, why would you hold Litecoin above Bitcoin? It just doesn't make any sense. Litecoin or EOS? I don't know. That's too tough to answer. Honestly, I would not buy either. Outside of ETH or BTC right now, what is your go-to? That's really tough. That's really tough. Those two are my go-to. But, beforehand, I would say, I would put Terra up there, but obviously that's not a choice anymore. So my go-to right now would be some of these bigger ones like BNB, Solana, Cardano, and Avalanche. These are kind of like the ones. If I don't know what to DCA into, like if there's nothing that's sticking out, I just DCA into one of these, plus Ethereum and BTC. Doc, I don't have an answer for you what you should do. You could hold it, you could sell it, wait for the airdrop. I don't know. A lot of people are in your situation. Avalanche got destroyed way more than they should have, but I think people are just scared that, Terra still has $200 million worth of Avalanche, which is probably worth $100 million now. They're afraid that might be dumped, or because they have a lot of exposure to stable coins, including UST. That could have been it. But Avalanche dumped way more than everyone else, and that was kind of a surprise. Hedera just introduced their EVM. Oh, okay. Finally. Hedera did not have smart contract for a very long time, but glad to see they did. They do now. All right, guys. That is it. Overall, Bitcoin holding strong. Still holding strong despite S&P 500 going to bear market territory, right? And you know what? Like I've been saying, you got to have patience. Day-to-day volatility will come, always exists, but you got to have patience. DCA and HODL. That's the only way, the only strategy that you really need to follow, and the only way to win. And some exciting things also for Cardano, for Terra. I don't know about Terra, but I guess we'll see what happens. All right, guys, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. In the meantime, more content on the Clips channel, so go check it out. All right, take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.